So that was cow dung juice. But I don't really want to start there. Where I really want to start is the dreams, is the nightmares. I had nightmares throughout my life. I'm guessing maybe starting at like 10 of my teeth falling out. And some people would get all like metaphysical on my teeth falling out, but I actually just like literally felt like my teeth were gonna fall out, and I had a lot of cavities and I had a lot of issues. And then I discovered for myself the benefits of swishing with urine, and I read a lot of research, a lot of studies, particularly out of India, out of universities publishing in India on the benefits of cow urine and microbiome. And then somewhere in writing the Eat Dirty chapter of Uninflamed, I ran into panchagavia. Panchagavia means to mix together, like the five mix. And it's referring to the cow. So the big five from the cow, you got the milk, you got the ghee, you got the yogurt, you got the cow pee, and you got the cow dung. And that's your panchagavia. Is that all mixed up? So then I start looking into, well, what are they doing in cow dung? And I'm thinking the whole time, like, the West is all wrapped up in fecal transplants. But if you Google DIY fecal transplant, which I have on YouTube, and you watch what comes up, it's still quite an extensive process to DIY your own fecal transplant. Those of you who don't know what fecal transplants are, that's where you take someone else's poop and they quote unquote clean it. This is modern Western style. This shit's been going on. This shit's been going on the Chinese called it soup since the 4th century. Yeah, the Chinese have used yellow soup enemas, injecting a healthy person's poop into a sick person's anus. It's interesting. There's even like oral. This sounds so gross. Okay, the point is people's poop has been used to heal people for a really long time. But why the cow, right? Like, would you rather have a human's poop in your body or a cow's poop in your body? And if you really start to think about the microbiome as this alive, it's not just the microbes, but it's the terrain, it's their jungle gym, it's their refrigerator. So I started making a cow dung juice back when I was looking at like DIY fecal transplant. Like how do I do that? And then I found it's like way too, like they wanted, the DIY people are like, you still should test the other human's poop at a lab. And that's going to cost you like $500 and take a month. And then like, bam, into my brain pumps panchagavia, which I hadn't thought about since being in India in 2004 and studying with Dr. Vasant Lad. And like, it came up with epilepsy. And it was like, oh yeah, everybody uses panchagavia. Of course, everyone knows what panchagavia is. Like, no one in the United States has any idea what panchagavia is. And it's like this intact ecosystem of the cow. Here we go. This is in the Eat Dirty chapter. From the cow-worshipping culture of yoga's origins comes perhaps a more accessible model ecosystem for implanting a robust and diverse microbiome. Cowpathy is the ancient therapeutic use of a healthy, biodynamic cow companion as a living biodynamic pharmacy, a symbiotic microbiome replenisher with over 400 bacteria species, also known as panchagavia therapy in the ancient Ayurvedic text. A healthy cow's microbiome is used medicinally in the form of cow dung, cow urine, milk, yogurt, and clarified butter or ghee. In India, panchagavia is manufactured as nasal drops for chronic sinusitis, allergic rhinitis, migraines, along with a host of other issues. Drum roll, please, for the microbiome enhancer recipe of the past 2 millennia. So what happens is we have agriculture coming up. Sometime we'll say rounded up to 10,000 years ago. Humans are going from completely wild, primal, totally primal microbiome. And you want to think of a microbiome as like literally a seed sample. And at this point, it's like totally, it's wild and indigenously sourced. Then you have agriculture. So when you have agriculture, then we start relying on the cow's microbiome. But then you take away the cow. You take away the cow from the family life, which happened about 100 years ago, and you have loss of microbial diversity. Your LOMD score goes down, in some places 30%. That's an organ, 30% less organ function of the microbiome organ. So I find this stuff out, like the connections connect in my brain, and I'm like, panchagavia, where's my local biodynamic organic A2 cow? I need its poop. I need to, like, why not? It's way easier than doing a human to human. Like, I trust the cow's diet. So I go and find that, and then I start watching all the YouTube videos on cow dung therapy. And it's like, it's all out of India, and it's not a new thing. And they're putting cow dung in everything. They powder it. They put it into tooth powders. They put it up your nose and nausea. Like, they rub it all over their skin, right? They have panchagavia, which means they're going to put it in every, well, they're going to put it down the chute and up the, and in the back door, so to speak. Why? It's got everything in it. So, healthy cows only. So I mix my first batch of cow dung juice, which is 1 part cow dung fresh to 1 part water. So a cup of cow dung, cup of water. You get the point. You swish it around until it becomes a liquid. Then you strain it. You strain all the basically hay out of the cow dung, cow manure. And you end up with cow dung juice. So I take the cow dung juice, I put it in a water bottle. I have this like incognito water bottle. So it's not a see-through one, because I'm like, no one wants to see my cow dung juice. So it's in this dark green, gray, army green camo. Like, it's camoing out my cow dung juice. And then I just take a swish whenever I want to swish and gargle. There's a chapter on Uninflamed on swish, which I'll read from in just a hot minute. So I start swishing this stuff. And my first reaction, for those of you who are like, I can't handle this, gag. My first reaction was like, it smells like the farm, and this is really normal. And that was not the reaction I was planning on having. Like, I was planning on being like, this is so disgusting, like so disgusting. And I'm like, this isn't really gross. And granted, I'd been experimenting with urine therapy and aged urine, not yet cow urine at that point. But I was shocked at how mild and pleasing. Like, honestly, I was like, damn, good mouthwash. I want to swallow it. And I was totally petrified. I was petrified of like, what's going to happen? So I would only swallow in small amounts. I know. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Except for that, we've been doing it for a long time. And they're still mixing it into tooth powders and toothpaste in India. And, like, yoga works. Like, those of us who've done enough yoga, it's like, that works. A lot of things those crazy yogis did, like, they work. There's people with stories of mixing the panchagavia formula, because they also use it biodynamically to spray it on their crops. And actually, if you Google panchagavia, pancha 5, gavia to mix up, Gavya, you'll mostly find agricultural applications. And you'll find those studied through, a number of studies written by PhDs in India. I'm like, how panchagavia works to grow food. Well, there's this one YouTube video where this woman is stirring the panchagavia that they're going to spray all over the farm. So it's like a vat of panchagavia. And her arm, she's had ectopic dermatitis, like bad for a long time. And she's done all the drugs. And the drugs have left her with, itchy scars. A month later, she looks at her arms, like one arm's totally clear, the other arm's totally messed up still from the ectopic dermatitis. And she's like, gonna go stir the other arm in some panchagavia. So it's a deep healer. And of course, this sounds so crazy. It's so crazy. So tonight, I ate too much chocolate. I brushed my teeth, and my hand just reaches, like, give me some of that panchagavia. Not panchagavia. Give me some of that cow dung juice. Let me swish that. And I taste it, and it's like, my mouth is like relief. And I get this hit, that instant replay of all those dreams, those nightmares, childhood, young adulthood, right? Post having kid, right? Like, I've had these reoccurring nightmares, and my mouth feels amazing. It feels amazing. And I no longer have gum recession, right? I had deep gum recession. I had deep mouth issues for a long time. I wasn't really breastfed. There's a lot of like, I was the sandwich kid. My mom didn't really recover her calcium before getting pregnant with me. I'm swishing this stuff, and I'm like, my mouth has never felt this good in my entire life. Now, some of you might be thinking, but cow dung, that's really expensive stuff. But it's not. Primal Habits are free. If you find a good biodynamic cow and you get a shovel full of poop, that's enough, my guess is, to last you about a decade. All right, I'm going to read from Swish. Swish. Swish is under the P section in Uninflamed 21 Primal Habits. Besides fasting, the easiest primal habit to affect your whole body is to swish your pee or cow dung juice. And I'm going to add this because when I wrote this book, I didn't know. I really wasn't all in on the cow dung juice. If you're more advanced in urine therapy, you will swish aged pee, which is gross until it's not. Another aside, I had really deep pockets of gum recession, and my siblings both have it. It's hereditary, blah, blah, blah. I started swishing urine, and a year later, the pockets had recessed. They had gone from like whatever, like a 4 to a 1 or something like that. Like they were talking gum grafts and shit like that on me. Yeah, now they're not. The tongue is the ambassador of the body. The tongue is a very accessible microbiome. The oralome, as it's called, is a complex ecosystem comprised of around 1,000 species of bacteria, fungi, viruses, archaea, protozoan that thrive in a very dynamic microenvironment. A healthy mouth harbors 10 billion bacteria. In the posterior crypts of the tongue live specialized bacteria that produce nitric oxide out of foods high in nitrates, like leafy greens and beets. These bacteria are key players in the nitrite NO pathway, nitric oxide pathway, which is essential for cardiovascular health. As you chew leafy greens, your saliva mixes with their nitrates. The bacteria reduce the nitrates into nitrites. After you swallow the nitrites, your gut bacteria turn them into nitric oxide. Without a strong oralome and leafy greens in your diet, your nitric oxide plummets with age. Oxidative stress rises and inflammation accumulates. A poor oralome means poor gut microbiome. There's a reason you look a horse in the mouth before you buy. An unhealthy mouth, missing teeth, mouth ulcers, cracked tongue, bad breath are signs of poor health and oral dysbiosis. Holistic doctors and practitioners look into your mouth for clues to what else is going on, including digestion, elimination, circulation, spine alignment, the nervous system, and organ health. It's all right there, mapped on the tongue. As you start swishing, notice the changes in the sections of your tongue. And you guys can go in the book, there's images of tongue, and there's images of all these biofilms I'm going to talk about next. Oral dysbiosis is a sign of systemic disease. An unhappy oralome means less nitric oxide production in the mouth and sinuses, which means more inflammation for the whole body and mind. Downstream, the gut microbiome suffers from fewer nitrates to make nitric oxide, meaning more dysbiosis for the gut microbiome. Lose. Oral dysbiosis correlates with heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, strokes, and several types of cancer, including oral, GI, lung, breast, prostate, and uterine cancer. You can even predict pregnancy complications from dysbiosis in the oralome. Cavities, gum disease, ear infections, and other types of infection are now recognized to be caused by oral dysbiotic biofilms in the mouth. I just want to say to that, like the studies on the oralome and colon cancer, if you're freaked out about cow dung juice, you should be more freaked out about your oralome giving your colon cancer. Okay, oralome. Taste relies on a healthy oralome and gut microbiome. In fact, it's 80% smell. See snort for ways to improve it. Your tongue and microbiomes, oral, sinus, intestinal, communicate through taste and moisture. When you overeat sweet things, the intelligence of your taste buds is disrupted. Sugar is a new flavor that messes with your perception of sweetness. Sugar has disrupted human health most dramatically in the past 100 years. Sugar as a commodity has only been around for 400 years of humanity's 160,000 year history. People talk about this as in Ayurveda, is sugar as a commodity versus sweet as a taste. So sugar as a commodity has nothing to do with sweet taste. It's just a disruptor. It's a toxin, essentially. Our ancestors evolved using sweetness from fruits, nuts, grains, dairy, roots, and honey. Your tongue needs to taste the repertoire accurately: bitter and sweet, sour and salty, spicy and acidic. In Ayurveda, bitter is better. Bitter foods are high in nitrates, which instigate the microbiome to produce nitric oxide. Bitter taste receptors, this is where it gets crazy. Bitter taste receptors in the paranasal sinuses, yeah, you heard that right, pick up the message and signal for local nitric oxide production. Who knew we had taste receptors in our sinuses, regulating our sinuses and nasal defense? If there aren't enough bitter tastes, you can expect mucus, allergies, upper and lower respiratory infections, asthma, mouth breathing, etc. Smoking, drinking sugary and artificial sweetened drinks, and eating processed food dumb down your ability to taste smart. Duh. As the biofilms of dysbiosis rots your teeth and decays your gums, you lose the ability to taste with sophistication. Your oralome dehydrates and starves. You lose oralome genetic diversity. At that point, your tongue is so broken you can't taste what's good for you. So, the cascade of events is at the tip of your tongue. Antibacterial mouthwash bought from the store and used regularly kills the oralome, increases hypertension, is a cause of heart disease and diabetes, and is associated with disease resulting from poor nitric oxide production like kidney disease. Even bone cells get trashed by mouthwash. That's like Listerine, you guys. Anything that's like antiseptic, antibacterial. It's antimicrobiome, anti-oralome. You can move the needle dramatically towards regeneration if you swish your tongue with a natural mouthwash or pee. Gargle, too. A mix of aloe juice, baking soda, and essential oils like tea tree, neem, mint, cloves, cinnamon, peppermint, myrrh, oregano, and many others nourish eubiosis and kill dysbiosis. So I'm going to give you an easy recipe for those of you who are like, I can't handle the urine, I can't handle the cow dung, I can't go there yet. Okay, natural mouthwash. Chances are you already know this, but I'll say it anyways. A cup of spring water, 8 to 10 drops of essential oils, any of those ones I listed above. The easy ones for people are usually like tea tree, peppermint. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt. You put it in an empty jar with a lid, you shake it, and then you use daily or whenever you want. And that's good. So what's the difference? I might as well get into that. Well, the difference is there's no microbes in that. So it's not probiotic. I'm not sure if it's prebiotic. I don't think there's anything in there that is prebiotic either. So the mouthwash will have a little bit of both prebiotic and probiotic, as well as the ability to kill stuff. So that's what those essential oils do, is they can kill the dysbiosis. You can do oil pulling, which uses oil to extract dysbiosis by pulling a small amount of coconut oil back and forth through your teeth for a few minutes. 10 minutes is recommended. You can do it while seeing to other chores, morning or evening. And that's a great, like a lot of these are like really good starter things. So yes. I find frequently swishing and gargling moves the needle towards healthy. It does. But I want to say it again, you guys. Like, it's not like me doing that stopped the nightmares of my teeth falling out. That mouthwash I just said, that didn't reverse the pockets in my gums. And I had deep dysbiosis. I mean, I look like a healthy person on the outside, but I had really freaking deep dysbiosis. Okay. I know you're not ready. So you're going to start with your baking soda and salt mixed with some essential oils, and that's fine. You can start right there. So why cow dung or pee? You can make mouth cleansing products from dried, powdered cow dung like they do in India, or just do it the way I said. The hands down champion in microbial diversity, dried dung tastes like rich dirt. It smells like the cow pasture. Switching cow dung juice packs in minerals like sulfur, iron, magnesium, and even expensive trace minerals like copper, cobalt, and manganese. Talk about an affordable probiotic supplementation. Cow manure also is a third urine. Yeah, that's right. So cow manure has, if it's like a dried patty in the field, it has dried cow urine in it. If it's wet, it has wet cow urine in it. Cow manure is 1/3 cow urine with all the benefits of urea. So I'm not going to get into all the benefits of urea here, except for that, incredible eubiosis, incredible for killing out dysbiosis. Urea has also been found to be anti-carcinogenic, which is kind of handy along the way. What you might notice if you start swishing, and you start looking at your tongue, maybe even start scraping your tongue in the morning, is that you might notice that your mouth starts to feel better. And then your digestion starts to feel better. So if you get your hands, and usually the next question is like, okay, Cate, I'm definitely curious. You're so out there, but I'm looking at cows a little different now. I'm looking at these cow patties. I'm looking at cow farms a little different now. Just go find the best cow you can. Go make friends with a cow. See what happens next.